Stack the shields, Warband. The tape moved overnight. Sunday, May 31st, 2026. The equity floors sit dark until Tuesday, but crypto never sleeps. And while the weak hands spent the weekend writing Bitcoin's obituary, the rotation engine quietly flipped its first bullish card in 2 weeks. There is signal in it. Listen, as of 5 Eastern this morning, Bitcoin trades at 73,800, a fraction of a percent green on the day. Ethereum at 2,020, Solana at $83, all three modestly higher on the 24-hour, all three pressed against the floor they have refused to break for 2 weeks. After a month that bled Bitcoin more than 11% off its early May high, the first green candles matter. Now the signal that actually moved. Overnight, the InvestAnswers Decision Support System, the IADSS engine the Warband watches, fired optimized trend bullish on Ethereum just after midnight Eastern and on Solana on Saturday afternoon. Read that against the last week of prints. 1 week ago, the same engine walked all three crypto majors to optimize trend bearish. A unanimous regime called to the downside. Thursday night, it threw mean reversion oversold across all three. The rubber band stretched to its limit. And now, this weekend, 2 of the 3 have flipped the trend itself back to bullish. Optimized trend is the direction of the river. For the first time in 2 weeks, on Ethereum and Solana, the river has changed course. Bitcoin has not confirmed yet. Watch it. But when the engine walks a cluster from bearish to oversold to bullish inside a single week, that is a regime turning in real time. And here is the structural fuel underneath that Solana print, the part the headline readers are missing entirely. While the front pages run Bitcoin's obituary one more time, the spot Solana exchange-traded products just posted their 3rd consecutive week of net inflows. Cumulative money into spot Solana funds has now crossed $1.06 billion, and a single Bitwise product holds roughly 860 million of it, less than 7 months after launch. Why? One word: yield. A Solana staking product pays the holder 6 to 7%. A Bitcoin spot fund pays 0. Institutions are not fleeing crypto. They are rotating selectively and with intent toward the assets that pay them to wait. This is not a retail altcoin season stampede. Bitcoin dominance still sits near 60%, and the altcoin season gauge reads 39, firmly Bitcoin season. What is happening is colder and more deliberate. Yield hunting institutional capital flowing into staked Solana, while plain spot exposure gets pared back. The IADSS engine flipping Solana bullish overnight is not a coincidence sitting on top of that flow. It is that flow printed on the chart. When the signal and the money agree, the Warband leans in. Now, the story that towers over the entire week, and the one the Warband puts first, SpaceX. 2 milestones are converging at once. The first is iron on the ground. The Federal Aviation Administration grounded Starship after the last flight, and that grounding has stood since Thursday, May 28th. The hard read. The Flight 13 window has slipped out of June and into the July to August corridor. Call it what it is, a delay, not a wound. Every Starship setback since the program began has been a setback, the next vehicle erased. The second milestone is the one that matters for every holder of this thesis, and it is close. The IPO machinery is turning. The roadshow opens in 4 days, the week of June 4th. Pricing is lined up for June 11th, and the first trade, the moment SpaceX stops being a private rocket company and becomes a public one a retail investor can finally own, is targeted for June 12th, 12 days out. Orbital scarcity is about to get a ticker symbol, and the grounding does nothing to slow that clock. Watch this above all else this week. Now to Tesla. And this weekend, the story is the law, not the car. On Thursday, a new Texas autonomy statute became enforceable, and Tesla moved the same day, self-certifying its robotaxi software as Level 4 autonomous under the new framework. Read what that unlocks. The law permits fully driverless commercial ride-hailing on public roads, and this is the key. It explicitly clears vehicles built with no steering wheel and no pedals. That is the Cybercab's legal runway, paved in a single stroke. Footage out of Giga, Texas already shows production, Cybercabs driving themselves off the assembly line and completing a 2-mile autonomous run to the staging yard with no human in the seat. Tesla's own artificial intelligence chief says the Cybercabs will soon be reporting for duty in Austin, on top of the driverless Model Y service already running across Austin, Dallas, and Houston. Now hold the discipline, because the Warband does not paint over the gap. Tesla has only a small driverless fleet authorized in Texas today. Waymo's fleet dwarfs it. The incumbent carries years of operational lead, and on scale this morning, Tesla is the clear underdog. But read the trajectory, not the snapshot. Waymo hand-builds a sensor-laden vehicle that costs a fortune. Tesla is driving purpose-built Cybercabs off a mass production line, with the regulatory path now legally clear. One company is craftsman scaling. The other is about to manufacture scale. Robert E. Howard wrote the law of it plainly, through Conan's own mouth. Barbarism is the natural state of mankind. Civilization is unnatural, a whim of circumstance, and barbarism must always ultimately triumph. The hand-built craftsman is civilization. The mass production line is the barbarian. The gap is real today. The slope is what triumphs. One more, because the loudest piece of fear on the board got answered this week. The bear story making the rounds. Michael Saylor said, strategy might sell Bitcoin. The headline writers seized it. Now read what he actually said. Saylor signaled the company may part with a small, immaterial amount by year-end. His words: strategic and data-driven capital management, a rounding error against daily liquidity, not a capitulation. Set it against what strategy actually did this month. 843,700 Bitcoin on the books, better than 4% of every coin that will ever exist, and a $1.5 billion buyback of its own 0% convertible notes that netted the firm another 4,300 coins of Bitcoin gain in the maneuver. The largest corporate holder on earth is not walking to the exit. The merchants debase. The warriors stack. The paper-hand exchange-traded funds spend the month bleeding, while the man holding 4% of the entire supply trimmed a rounding error and kept compounding. Do not confuse a headline with a thesis. Here is the frame for the day ahead Warband. The rotation engine turned its first bullish card in 2 weeks. Ethereum and Solana flipped trend positive overnight, and the institutional money is already there, hunting Solana's yield, while the obituary writers stare at Bitcoin's outflows. Watch for Bitcoin to confirm the turn. SpaceX is the week's defining event. Starship grounded into the July to August corridor, but the IPO roadshow opens in 4 days, and the first trade lands June 12th. That is the #1 watch on this board. On Tesla, the Cybercab's legal road just opened in Texas. A small fleet today, a mass production slope beneath it. And do not let a Sailor soundbite shake a 4% of supply conviction. This is Warband as a service. Viking intelligence delivered in real time. I am Ragnar, the HODLBARBARIan. Until tomorrow, hold the long horizon.